Welcome everyone to our first virtual book reading, The Power of Telling Our Stories. So my name's Rasie. I'm the host of this event. It feels amazing to see it come to life because it's something that I've dreamt of and visualized for a while, for a few months. So I'm a leadership coach and book coach, author, and speaker. As a book coach, I support experienced writers in becoming authors. I am working on purpose to make the process of writing and publishing a book look less intimidating. So what I've experienced in before writing my first book, I wanted to make it easier and more enjoyable of that process for aspiring authors. So I am joining you from the unceded and ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We do a land acknowledgement to show respect for the indigenous peoples of these lands. I feel very fortunate to be able to work in the space, play in the space, and do the work that I love so much. So as you're joining in today, I invite you to come as you are into the space. Either it's on camera, off camera. You can engage in the chat, let us know how you're feeling, what you're taking in, what doses of inspiration is meeting you as you engage with our speakers today. Ask questions in the chat. You're also going to have an opportunity to ask questions in the breakout room and learn more about our authors or speaker and artists, and be able to, ask questions that you've always longed to ask about, like that author's journey. And even if you're not on camera or, off camera, I invite you to sip on your favorite beverage as you listen in, or eat your meal as you listen in. Please come as you are in this space. The first time I felt inspired to write my first book, I was 13 years old. I just moved to Canada as an immigrant, walked into her chapters, and I remember seeing all the books on the table for sale, and no one looked like me on the cover. And right away, I thought to myself, wouldn't that be so cool to have my face on the cover of my own book? But then instantly, that thought, the self-doubt started coming up, percolating, all these different thoughts of why no one would read my book. And my self-doubts overpowered the aspiration to write a book at that time when I was 13 years old. So fast forward, I did a lot of inner work to get ready to write and publish my own book. And I feel very fortunate to have gone through that process and to be able to support aspiring authors and helping them, have a better experience than what I had experienced. So you'll be inspired by our authors, our speakers, and our artists, and so much more. I think everyone needs to write a book because your story can give someone hope, and it can shed light on, that path that somebody else is going through, and you can let somebody know that there are possibilities from reading your story. There's a way through, and there's someone to talk to, and they can relate to your experience and know that they're not alone in what they're going through. I think that's absolutely powerful. So frequently asked questions from people in my network, either they aspire to write a book or they're just curious about the process. I get asked, how do you even start to write a book? Who would even read my book? Is my story worth telling? First thing I say is, what is that one message that you have been yearning to share with the world? That one message that you can get to the top of a mountain and yell it out loud, and that message that will make a very positive impact in our world. That is where you start. What is that one message? So this event is created intentionally to make the process of writing and publishing a book look less intimidating for our aspiring authors, making the impossible look possible. What you hear today can apply to writing a book and other areas of your life as well. As you listen in, I invite you to reflect on the goals that you want to accomplish and take away some key messages from our keynote speaker, our artists, and our authors. So I'm going to move on in introducing Paul, our facilitator today. So fun fact about Paul is that he loves driving and going on road trips. At the same time, he enjoys staying indoors. Welcome, Paul. And before I call Paul up to the stage and he's going to take over and facilitating the rest of our event, I do want to introduce Jay, is our tech support today. Jay has a passion for sushi. He could eat it all day, every day. That's something else. So I definitely want to say thanks to Paul and Jay in helping me bring this to life. And I'll welcome Paul to the stage. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Rasie, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for making the impossible possible. Good day, everyone. Wherever you're joining us from, welcome. And thank you again for joining us in our very first book reading. Today, we will be getting close and personal with our remarkable authors by hearing fun facts about them. To begin, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Tim. Here's an interesting fact about Tim. The last time Tim wrote a non-fictional book was in November 2014. He didn't promote it. Neither did he earn any royalties, and he didn't sell a single copy. You might say that's a flop, right? But just hold on. The failure sparked the launch of the Tellwell, and the book was used to train his first employees. Amazing. Now, let's give a round of applause, clap your virtual hands, and welcome Tim. Tim, you got the mic. Yeah.
Exciting. Awesome. And am I able to share my screen as well? I'll share it in a second here. Thank you so much, Rasie, for inviting me. Very excited to hear from the authors you have here. It's a very special thing. And the message I want to share, and I'll share it. I've got my timer going, 10 minutes, because it's a super packed, fast day we have booked here. But the message is that publishing a book and writing a book is an expression of our humanity. And the reasons people do it and the impact they have can be as diverse as humanity. And when people do it, they are heroes in a sense, I believe, because they're making the transition from consumer of culture, and we all do it, right? Scrolling, we get trapped on our phones, consuming culture, but they're making that transition to becoming a creator of culture. And being a creator of culture doesn't have to be mass culture big. It can start very small with individual connections, and that can still be a very special thing. So that's the message. I've still got 9 minutes to repeat that message. So let's get started. Go. Can you see my screen? Does it say what word comes to mind?
Yeah.
And is there a picture now?
Yes.
But no word below it. All right, share it in the chat. Rasie, if you can read anything that people write in the chat out loud, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, I got you.
What word comes to mind?
Joy, warmth, collective. There's a lot of joy. Elation, happiness, squish. That's cool.
Absolutely.
Celebration, community, connection.
And connection. Connection is the word I was looking for. And this is actually some of our teammates. And when you publish a book and when you write a book, you have the opportunity to connect. And even connecting with an individual can be a very special thing with one person, let alone many people. So I'm going to start with a little story from a couple of months ago. This woman, one of our authors, Kathy, walked into her office, started speaking to our editor, Simon, and she told a story about 10 years earlier. She wrote a book about living with multiple sclerosis. She promoted that book 10 years ago through the MS Society, through her local networks. and she set up a book signing. And one of the fellows who came to her book signing was a guy named George. He waited in line. He got a signed copy of his book. He started chatting with Kathy, and they chatted and they chatted. And after they were done talking, he asked her on a date. And so they went on a date, and that was 10 years earlier. So walking into our office was Kathy and George, and they've been together ever since. And she dedicated her next book. She said, "For George, my greatest muse and encourager." And I thought that's just a great example of how one reader, one connection can be such a powerful thing. And sure, she made her $5 from selling that book, but that's really a minor point, I think, compared to the connection she developed. Okay, so we've worked, I'm so lucky to work with authors all day, every day. Rita's a really powerful speaker, and Kyle Schufelt, he won a gold medal. He also fractured both his legs and overcame those barriers and continued to compete. And Lamar Jackson, he's our highest earning author, I joke. He makes $50 million a year. But I have to clarify that that's not through his book with us, unfortunately. That's because he's the highest paid football player in the NFL. But his book that he did was all about helping children have that mindset, a positive mindset that they can become a fire chief, a police officer, a writer, an actor, anything they want. And that was his message, trying to have with his book to inspire children who might not be thinking that they can do anything with their lives. So our purpose at Tell, we say, is we create a more vibrant culture by helping people tell their stories. But really, we're helping, like Rasie, we're helping other people share their stories. We're helping other people share their contribute and create culture. And we have this glimpse into humanity, this diversity of humanity. I'm just going to share some of the reasons people write, their motivations, and the impact they're trying to have. And again, writing and publishing a book is an expression of our humanity, and the reasons people do it are as diverse as humanity. These are just a few excerpts of why people are publishing their books. I love that last one, to have fun. I love all of these, and it's just it's a glimpse into our humanity, right? And whatever stage of life, Rasie said, we should all try to publish a book. And at different stages of life, it's different things that motivate us to publish a book, whether we're a new parent or a grandparent, or it's our retirement project, or it's our career adventure. So people are often motivated by others, by their reader, to make an impact on them, to have a positive social impact on the world, to educate people, to help people through a transformation or a struggle, or the flip side, to seize an opportunity, or simply to entertain or to inspire people, or to empower people with knowledge and know-how to help them overcome barriers, or is to show appreciation, to give people a voice, to share or preserve culture, to celebrate and memorialize, to help people cope or heal. These are some of the common motivations. And then on the flip side, we write and we publish for ourselves. And I don't think we should be ashamed of that, right? Because helping ourselves, empowering ourselves, getting over our own personal barriers, that is inspiring to others, and that can help others too. So some of the ways that writing or publishing a book can be helping ourselves is to become more of an authority, to become more credible, to get more exposure, media opportunities, to generate leads for a business, to help with speaking opportunities. And of course, you can earn some money selling a book. But often the reasons, the ways that writing and publishing a book can help someone isn't so tangible. It's often indirect. As Rasie could tell you, it's about personal growth. It's about learning skills. It's a personal sense of accomplishment. It might just be about social expression, creativity. You can actually learn and develop new skills and get over weaknesses and grapple with those. And you can build new relationships, and those relationships can be powerful. And at some point, you might be thinking about your legacy and how to share everything you have to share with more people. So publishing, writing a book, it's hard. That's why people are heroes who we're going to hear from today who overcome it. Rasie's in this amazing profession of helping people get over some of these barriers, because it is a journey. It's not easy. You got to go through these stages. And mindset. Rasie already talked about it. If you can't get over the first barrier is in your own head. I don't have time to write a book. I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. Who am I to write a book? I might open myself up to criticism. There's too much competition. Oh, I don't want to be marketing myself, putting myself out there. Marketing's not nice. And you can overcome all of these. I'm working on a book and it's really bad right now. But I know the first draft is supposed to be bad. So I've had some coaching on my mindset. I'm going to keep plowing forward. Expectations. We need to be careful here, because for each one of these are perhaps unrealistic expectations, but for each one, there's a more realistic alternative. You might not get famous, but you can get more visibility and more connection in your local professional community. So the message is it's possible. There's many ways to publish a book. Self-publishing, it used to be frowned upon. You had to print thousands of copies, had no access to sales channels. But all that changed in the mid-1990s. Print on demand, ebooks, e-commerce, that changed the whole landscape. It meant that you could have your book right up there alongside traditionally published books. Self-publishing is a great alternative to the traditional model. It's faster. You can earn 5 to 10 times more. Creative control, retaining rights. Those old requirements to print a lot of books are gone, and you have access to all the sales channels, and you can do it for free if you want, but that's not always the best option. So self-publishing publishing has become democratized, and there's a lot of excitement around it. It used to be a scar, someone said, but now it's a tattoo. So people have a lot of pride, and the main message is that there's lots of different ways to publish. Small presses, big presses, self-publishing, do it yourself or with help, for free, or you can invest in your book. It's not a question of which one is best anymore. There's pros and cons of each. It's which one is right for you. So the main message again is, yes, you do have options. And I can leave it at that. The Jerry Maguire quote was just a note to myself when I first started Rasie. I just had a broken up iPhone 4, and I was talking to authors, and they were considering working with a bigger, more professional company. But she said, no, you know what? I'll work with you because you're small. It's more intimate. And so she said no to all these big companies, and she worked with me, and she used the Jerry Maguire reference. And so that's just that message to new writers, new business people going out on their own, that, you know what, people are actually very receptive to small, to local, to people just starting out, because it can be much more intimate that way. And that's very special and very powerful. So thanks for inviting me, Rasie, and back to you, and on with the show.
Yeah, thank you, team, for that wonderful insight on book publishing and the awesomeness that goes behind it. And thank you so much for that. So now we would begin by welcoming our very first author, Shelley Anne. And one interesting fact about Shelley is that she played the steel drums for 7 years. Wow. So how about we roll the drum for Shelley Anne as she comes on our virtual stage and shares something amazing with us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to share with you just a little bit of excerpts from my book here. And it's called You Only Need One Good Egg, Manifesting a Miracle. And I'd like to start off in chapter 1, which says, which is Taking the Leap, Parenting by Courage. If I were to answer the question, what does it mean to be a mom? I would say that a mom cares about her children. She's loving, kind, compassionate, strict, fair, and ready to lend an ear and a heart when it's needed. I know for a fact that motherhood is more than biological. For me, no matter what motherhood looked like, I was determined to become a mother. I'm moving on to page 20, still on page chapter 1. As I got closer and closer to the self-imposed deadline of selecting my donor, I was feeling very stressed. So I called a good friend, Tafadzwa. She literally sat on the phone with me as we read through the donor profiles and reviewed pictures. We joked that online dating profiles should model some of the detailed medical and family history information. Then I saw this one picture and I said to Tafadzwa, I think I found my donor. I really like his smile. I shared the photo with her and she agreed. We both scrutinized his medical history, his family medical history, ancestry, educational background, and his reason for becoming a donor. It was clear. He was the one. All right, I'm jumping ahead to page 23, again in chapter 1. After the doctor left the room, I was alone in the room with the nurse. I said to her, we're going to do a Hail Mary and see what happens. It's all or nothing right now. I won't lie. Being in the room all alone without a partner, family member, or a friend to discuss my decision was emotionally hard. I just had to lean into my faith and trust that if it was for me, it would be. Now I'm going to jump ahead to chapter 5 here, and it's childbirth and trusting my gut. There are so many details that surround the roller coaster of my labor as I birthed my little miracle. Before I shared the details, I'd like to take a step back to one of my prenatal classes with Steph and Michelle. When Steph and Michelle asked me what I thought about my labor and delivery would be like, I had no idea. But after a few moments of reflection, I recalled when I played Mass in Trinidad for the first time in 2009. I replied, I think it'll be like a Trinidadian carnival. They laughed, and I proceeded to explain what I meant. The memories of all the excitement led up to getting ready for the march on the road flooded my mind. I was in Trinidad and with some friends, and they were all there for the adventure. I thought about how we woke up around 6 a.m. in the morning to put our sparkly feathered costumes and glittery makeup on. Adrenaline was pumping through my body. I had no idea what to expect from the biggest carnival in the world. We finally made it to the area where our band was assembled. There was a long waiting period, and we had began to jump and wave with the rest of the masqueraders on the road. During the day, there were feelings of excitement and exhaustion. I literally remember getting to the point where I sat down on one of the food trucks to rest. At one point, I was overcome with fatigue from the sun, the dancing, and the alcohol. So I tapped out and made a quick trip back to the hotel for a power nap. After a short rest, I returned to the street to continue with the party. It was a very long day from early Tuesday morning until early Wednesday morning. When it was all over, I was exhausted, relieved, and happy that I'd played Mass. Wednesday consisted of recuperating on the famous Maracas Beach, where we had a beach lime, chilled with some friends on the beach to enjoy some food and good music. Only time would tell if my Trinidadian carnival analogy would be the reality of my labor and delivery. In keeping with this carnival-themed analogy, as I got closer and closer to the due date, I created a pre-labor playlist, which consisted of a lot of soca music. In the final month of my pregnancy, I spent many evenings rubbing my belly while alternating between swaying my hips and jumping and waving to the sweet sounds of soca music. I guess I thought I would dance my baby out of me. And that's what I have to share for today. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Speaking of soca music, I feel like, ooh, I've just heard the vibe already. Oh,
Ah.
thank you so much. That's really nice. Amazing. I know there's some hands going up. I mean, I see some people putting their hands up. I just want you to know that later on we'll be going in a breakout room and you can ask your authors or whichever room you're in, you can ask them questions, okay? All right, so now we'll be going to our next awesome author, and that is Michaella. An awesome fact about Michaella is that she loves shopping and organizing. Now, I'm going to just ask one question. I know I'm breaking the rule. I'm sorry, but Michaella, where were you yesterday? Yes, it was Black Friday.
Actually,
All
I
right.
did not shop yesterday. Good morning,
Oh,
everyone.
morning. Well,
And it's actually Michaella.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So the name of my book is How to Survive as a Child Welfare Social Worker. And I've been a social worker now for about 8 years. So I'm just going to share a little snippet about my book. The first part I'm going to start is with the introduction. I'm going to just read like a paragraph. Child welfare social worker is a title typically applied to child protective services professionals. A child welfare social worker protects children from abuse and neglect or removes children from high-risk homes where they've experienced severe neglect or physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. To be very clear, child welfare social workers do not remove children because they are poor or do not have housing. And I'm going to share, in chapter 1, I'm going to share some of the aspects of being a child welfare social worker. Well, I'm going to share one paragraph that I talk about. At the beginning of my career, I used to be so nervous when I go when I go to a trial. Now I am no longer anxious about doing so because I always tell myself that I am the only one who knows the case of this family whilst I am in the courtroom. That framework has helped me tremendously through the years. Another aspect of being a child welfare social worker is that you may encounter dangerous situations from time to time. Social workers often go into a home or area not fully aware of the situation or danger. Personally, I have not encountered any dangerous issues. When I go on my home visits, I make sure not to park too far from the houses because if something happens, my car is close by. I always look around the neighborhood before exiting my vehicle to be aware of what is happening around me. Making sure you're aware of the environment is essential. In addition, if you feel as if a parent is starting to get agitated with you and you've been feeling unsafe, you have all the rights to leave the environment as quickly as possible. Safety comes first. Always remember you have to prioritize your safety, and you can always reach out to law enforcement if you do not feel safe. One of the cons, which is the bad things about being a child welfare worker, is the endless emails that you get, the phone calls, the constant, your phone going off, not knowing what to expect in any given of the day, scheduling visits with parents, school, driving to unfamiliar places, driving long distance. I have gone as far as 4 hours one way. So before becoming a child welfare social worker, I used to hate driving. I did not want to drive far, but now I love driving and I can do long distance. And being that one of my fun facts about me is being organized, I have a section where I talked about self-care. And one of the things that I said in this section is that you have to develop an organizational system that works for you. You can't go in and trying to get somebody else or how they organize their work. Trying to avoid becoming overwhelmed with all the documentation and different tasks you must get done will really help you. And in organizing, for me personally, I don't really do the computer thing. So I really have to have a paper planner where I write everything down. So I hope my hope is that this book will help the upcoming social workers who are willing and wanting to go into child welfare. Thank you, everyone.
Wow, thank you so much for such a profound insight on what it really is on the other side of a child social worker. I believe that this book will be very valuable to upcoming social workers, even existing ones, and those who know people who are in the social work field. I think the link to purchase the book will be in the chat shortly, so just look out for that. All right, we go into our next speaker, who is, first of all, not around in person, but he sent his virtual presence, and we'll be watching a video of his, and his name is Yermi. So one interesting fact about Yermi is that Yermi figured out a way to franchise the lemonade stand in his neighborhood at the age of 10 or 12 years old. Interested. Wow. All right, let's sit back and enjoy this video from him. Just one moment, please.
We still can't hear the voice. Maybe we can drop the link on a browser and then share from there. I thought.
Okay. Just one moment, okay? Let's see if I can do plan B.
Take your time.
How about I try share my screen over here? Let's see if that would work, okay?
You didn't know, and you should know by now, but if you didn't know by now, this man right here is an author, and very soon to be published and in our hands. We can't wait to see the book. It's very exciting, and we're going to be sharing a little bit about it on some live video chats. And I guess fireside minus the fire, because it's not quite cold enough yet. Chats together as we kind of discuss the book, discuss some background of the book, discuss some stories, give you guys some things that aren't included in the book, and maybe give a little bit of my perspective, because it's definitely written from Yermi's side. He is the writer, not me. I like to talk. We just have our different media platforms, if you want to say, and so I think we're excited. Not think. We are. We are very excited. And we have so much anticipation for this book. We can't wait to share it with other people and like just like put it out there, and let it really take the principles that you learned in your life and like can't wait to see how it helps other people, because it's not like principles that you invented.
No.
It's more of principles that you came across as more of like realities and truths that were just real, and that you kind of discovered them by life
along the way.
Yeah, along the way. And but the book has how many principles? 10.
Well, I think what a lot of the content and the real great, I think, irresistible value that they're going to get out of these lives is here, like those who are going to be reading the book, and hopefully all of you are going to be reading the book.
Or buying the book and getting it in the ebook and getting it in the
all the formats.
The paper cover, paperback, that's the word.
Yeah. So you're going to be reading in the book the perspectives, how, you know, the principles that I was using in my personal life and in my professional life. But in the videos, in the interviews, when Liam and I are going to talk about how did those principles affect her? Did she even appreciate those principles?
Notice them.
Did you know, like these are kind of questions that we're going to be asking. And, you know, just like one of the examples.
I would say, why don't we chat about real quick about one of the, let's chat about the principles real fast. Because I'm going to give people like a super quick taste.
Snippet.
Like a little touch and go, give a little taster.
So let's do this for fun.
Yeah.
Pick a number 1 to 10.
7.
Okay, so 7 it is. Great, easy number.
7 days
Principle
a week.
7, yeah. Principle 7 is showing up, right? That's a big buzzword these days, showing up. And you hear this all the time. Yeah, just show up, authentic self, you know, all these like nice
show up
words.
and be your real self.
Right?
Yeah.
But how does that really practically apply into your everyday life? And so one of the things I talk about in my book is being omnipresent, being everywhere at any given time. You know, the reason, like you were sharing earlier, like you had your roommates, they all knew me, right? And that's how they spoke about you. And I mean, that's how they spoke about
like
me to you.
To me, yeah. I call them roommates, but really it was like a flat share situation. So they're really flat mates. And I had 5. So there was a lot. And all of them had met him at some point or another. So I heard about him a long time before I ever met him.
Right. And so what was it that, how did they get to know me? How did they know of me? And it's just that I was everywhere at any given time in all the events. Not only was I attending these events, but I was even becoming part of these events. I was volunteering in the events. I was leading, I was taking a leadership position in these events.
So no passive bystander stuff.
No, not at all. I was noticed. People are going to notice me. And again, these principles are not linear, so they touch upon many other. All these principles are at play at any given time.
Kind of like a synergistic thing.
Absolutely,
they work together.
Yeah, but you know that's what showing up looks like. So, how did that affect you? What are your thoughts about showing up and being omnipresent?
Well, I think it's interesting because how we actually met the first time, like actually not just hearing about each other, because I think I had a buildup of a couple months hearing about you, and then actually meeting you was because we both showed up to something that we weren't maybe the most comfortable at. It was totally not our crowd, not our space, if you want to say, but we both showed up on behalf of our friend, our mutual friends.
Sure.
And, you know, at least for me, I know that I came and I just was who I was. Even though it wasn't my crowd, really wasn't my space, I still was just me. Yeah. It's kind of, what's that, in computer stuff, like WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. It's very much, I think, then also you and I had a very, like, honest conversation that evening. And it was both kind of like, well, this is awkward. Let's just chat. And we were just very real with each other. So I think, you know, had you not shown up physically and then also coming along, you know, mentally and emotionally being there.
Sure.
Maybe we would have never had a conversation. We would have never met each other. At least not at that time, for sure.
Yeah.
So I think showing up has a lot of different ways it can look.
Yeah. So that was one of them.
That's a little bit of the background of the story that I don't think's in the book.
No, it's not.
All right. Sorry, I just have to end it there. Time check. We have a lot to cover. I know you guys should just get it right. Oh, Paul, come on. Why would you stop it just right there? The link is going to be in the chat so you can go and watch the video. And also, you can purchase the book as well. And just speaking about that tip of showing up, wow, you guys showed up today. Amazing. Clap for yourself for showing up. Yay, I'm super excited. And I really love the aspect of us being omnipresent. Yeah, just be who you are, wherever you are. Let your vibe and your presence speak for itself, and people just talk about you even in your absence. That's really awesome. All right, the next author we have is Joy. All right, I just want to make sure that our tech person gets to share the screen so we can see Joy's bio while I'm talking about her fun fact.
I was gonna ask you to share if you can, just like you did last time.
Oh, okay. All right then. Awesome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so
Thank you.
I'm multitasking here. Okay. All right, I'm just going to share that and I'll share the
Got
screen
this.
also. Okay, all right, awesome. Okay, so Joy, interesting fact about Joy is that she enjoys hiking in the beautiful British Columbia outdoors. But her number one favorite thing to do is to participate in Caribbean Carnival. Amazing. Wow. All right, let's give a round of applause. Our virtual hands, clap it up for Joy.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's so lovely to see you this morning, and thanks for showing up. I just wanted to say as well that being here in Vancouver, I want to situate myself on these lands, and I see myself here first and foremost as an uninvited guest who is the descendant of folks who were taken and forcefully taken and displaced from their homelands. All right, so I'm reading from my book, Cocktails, Cappuccino, and Courage, because it takes a lot. And I'm going to start with a section here in chapter 2 called Country Life. And yeah, Mom and I got the information that we needed. And it was decided that I would start my new school at the start of the January term. Joy, my mom said one day, I'm not sure you'll be able to start school next week. I looked at her quizzically. Why not, Mom? I don't have the tuition, she replied. Page 32. I never realized things were that bad. How could we not afford the marginal sum of money for my tuition? How was that even possible? January came and went, then February, then March. Still, I was not in school. The days went by slowly. I fulfilled my time by planting vegetables, mostly carrots and tomatoes. I visited my cousins daily, went with my neighbor's daughter to the river to wash clothes, even when they weren't mine. Page 34. 9 months later, I finally made it back into a classroom. It was intimidating and alienating at the same time. I was not from there, was what was being made clear to me from the barrage of questions from my classmates. Why would anyone relocate from the big city to live all the way out in this rural part of the country? That did not make much sense to them. It did not make much sense to me either, except that I was living the reason. Page 35, separated and ushered into different rooms, undergoing rounds of questioning, first by the school's principal and then the guidance counselor. We were on trial. Forced to relive my shame by repeatedly giving detailed accounts to questions spun in different ways of why I had stayed away from school for 9 months from when I had intended to start. My mom was judged that day by an educational system that was as patriarchal as it was sexist. It was a system that made no allowances for girls to be reintegrated into regular school after pregnancy and childbirth. Families suffered a huge sense of shame if their teen daughters suddenly became pregnant. On many occasions, daughters would be cast out, left to survive on their own, if not rescued by a friend or relative. Other times, they were sent away to the country to have their babies in secrecy. I felt sorrow for my mom. I knew that all she wanted was to ensure that all her children had a good educational base on which to stand. She worked hard. She worked diligently to make it happen. But here she was before a jury, having to answer to speculative charges associated with her daughter's inability to attend school for 9 whole months. I'm going to move on to chapter 3, Teachers College. I hated math. I wish I didn't, but I could not help it. Dad had tried his best with me. Oh, how that man made me count stones and bottle stoppers. Every evening after school, he would have me gather up small stones from around the yard, assemble them into piles, and he would give me math problems. So, if you have 20 stones and your sister asks you for 12 of them, but you only give her 8, how many stones do you have left? I forced my mind to think. I had to get it right. I could see the frustration on his face, probably wondering why his daughter did not have the same knack for simple calculations. My dad was brilliant. I wish I had his brain. I looked down at the stones and started counting and sectioning them off like he had taught me. 1, 2, 3. I counted until I had counted out 12 stones from my pile of 20. I began counting again, this time from the pile of 12. I counted the 8 stones that I would be giving to my sister, then shoved them to the side. I then put all the stones that I had back together in a pile and counted them yet again. I was hot and aware that I was sweating. Maybe it was from the heat, but I sensed that it was from the feeling of terror at failure that I was experiencing. I had to get it right. 12, I whispered, more of a question than a response. How much? Daddy asked. 12, Daddy, I said. Okay, good. Show me again how you got that. I think I'll end here.
Wow, I'm curious to know how that ended because trust me, I felt the heat alongside you. I'm telling you, so much pressure getting that mathematics right, honestly. But thank you so much for sharing that. Amazing. So the link is gonna be in the chat for you to purchase her book. All right. So just time check. I see we are a little bit behind in time, but we're making huge progress here. The next person we have is Winnie. So Winnie, she is going to be performing, and a fun fact about Winnie is that she speaks 3 different languages other than English. I'm curious to know what those 3 languages are, but in the meantime, let's put our virtual hands together and welcome Winnie. And she tells us the 3 languages, and then she can perform her show. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. I hope you can hear me. Yeah,
yes,
okay.
Loud and clear.
Sounds great. So the 3 languages are African languages. Nobody will know them except for those who are from where I'm from, Ghana, in West Africa. And it is Tree, one of the main ones, and then Fanti, which is my native, and then Ga. Those are the languages I speak other than English. I can read and write them as well. All right, so I'm doing a little bit of something different from all of you. I'm an artist. I am not an author yet. I'll put yet there because you never know. I'm hearing so many great stories about, writing a book, and it's inspiring me a lot so far. And so what I do, I paint mostly. I went to school here. I have my bachelor's in fine arts. So what I do is I do lots of abstract painting. That's how I met Rasie. We were at the Black Business Expo, and she saw my paintings and she was so inspired and invited me to join you all and show you what I do. So I'm going to share my screen here. I didn't send you a PowerPoint. I'll show you a couple of my paintings and talk about them. Let's see, just a minute. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, I'll just zoom in to the first one. So this one here, a little bit background about what I normally, what inspires my work. So like I said, I'm from Ghana. And growing up in Ghana, our history is really swept under the rugs. The reason being is that the transatlantic slave trade really happened on the grounds of our shore. So when slaves were sent to the Americans, what happened was most of our ancestors were sent to America without not knowing what's going ahead of them, and they were left in the dark. Even up until today, the last time I went to Ghana, I wanted to go to the beach on a Tuesday. And when I told my mom this, she was like, you can't go to the beach on a Tuesday because there's no activity on the beach, no fishing, nothing. Reason is they won't tell me why, but when I did a bit of research on it, was that the trauma that existed back then still exists today, because when the slave trade was happening, Tuesday was one of the biggest days that the ships would come in and send our people on board. So some of them died while on board, and it was just a trauma of that. So we don't even go to the beach on Tuesday. So this painting here, I titled it Coast of No Return. So it talks about that specific story. As you can see on the left corner of the painting, the crashing of the waves, and I have in bold there, Tuesday, if you can really see, you can see it right away, but if you squint and you look closely, it is, I made it a bit horrifying for people to look at because of the gory that comes with it. Also, this painting is a life size. My paintings are big because I want the viewer to look at it in a way that is not just a small painting and just squinting and looking at it, but they actually feel a sense of the overwhelming of the pain that comes with it. And the next painting, as we can see, I'm going to rush through quickly because I want to get to my final one for Rasie. It says we were once kings and queens. Thank you, Rosa. So this one here, you can see that it has the yellow features in there. So what it means is royalty. So most of these ancestors, some of them were actually of a royal lineage, and the British or whoever the colonizers were will actually capture these chiefs and their kids and send them aboard. And they ended up on these plantations as regular people. So it talks about, coming from a royal background, but nobody cared about that. So this painting depicts it. Closely, if you look into this painting, I have embedded a lot of heavy stuff in it. Some of my paintings are painted with acrylic, of course, but it's on hardwood surface with lots of spackle, with even dead plants. So my painting is very detailed in those ways. Yeah, that's what this one talks about. I have a bunch of this, but I can't show them all in this moment that I have here. But my last one here is for Rasie. Rasie commissioned me to do a little painting for her. It's still a work in progress. This is one, I haven't titled it yet, but it's a little bit based on her background. So she told me about coming to Canada as a refugee, and before that, she had a very happy living life with her family. And then she came to Canada, and it was the first year, as everybody, as every immigrant, even for me, I resonate with that, the culture shock and just like everything around it. So this painting here talks a little bit about her. So on the left, as you can see, the sun and the safari and all the mountain and that background. At the bottom there, it's a little bit of her flag, but I made it kind of abstract. The middle pathway, I'm working on it, is going to show two footprints. I will talk to Rasie about that in detail, but for now, I'll leave it to you guys to look at it this way. And then the mountain on the right is obviously the snow-capped mountains, which is Canada, and the CN Tower and all of that. So all of that is embedded in there. I'm still working on it. Yeah, so that's it for my presentation today. Let me end the sharing. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. I hope I made a little bit more sense.
Thank you so much, Winnie. Wow, profound. Not only did you walk us through a history class, you also hit us real hard with this amazing piece of art. Like, that's really sensational, for real. And I really love the contrast between, wow, it's just amazing how beautiful the word is, honestly. Yeah, thank you. All right. So we would be moving to our next, let me share my screen. We'll be moving to our next author, and this is Haeley. So interesting fact about Haeley is that Haeley started competitive gymnastics at 7 years old, and at 10 years old, she competed in her first provincial trampoline and tumbling championship and medaled for both tumbling and synchronized trampoline. Wow, these are profound sport. I need to Google this after this whole session. I just want to see what that looks like. Well, since we are virtual and Haeley won't be able to like show us some moves, but you know what? You got the mic, so let's hear from you.
Thank you. I'm really grateful to be here. I can still do lots of my gymnastics moves. And gymnastics was the first 10 years of my athletic career and continued to stay extremely active. So I will be reading from my book called Be the Warrior in You, a wellness guidebook to self-love and personal growth. And I will be reading part of my introduction. In order to be your best self, you must first find self-love. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about this one. Self-love is a right and a skill that must be obtained to sustain. As you read, hope is creating new beginnings through suffering. You must walk through the valley before you can reach your mountaintop. Remember, true for any success story. Use your hope as you reshape your vision to match the new version of yourself that you want to become. Without a clear vision, you cannot have a clear direction. As much as we must not understand it yet, suffering is a natural part of life and our healing cycle. We need suffering so we can feel and embrace comfort. A world without pain and suffering is an unrealistic fantasy world. There is no reality without pain and suffering, just as there's no reality without love and hate. This falls under the universal law of polarity. We cannot have up without down, good without bad, black without white, love without hate, and joy without suffering. This is duality. We have to know what we don't want to know what we do want, so we don't take the good for granted. Just like how we have to understand who we are to understand who we are becoming. Self-discovery is power. Self-discovery is self-love. There's no satisfying answer to the question of why do bad things happen to good people. All I know, experienced, and have learned is that we, as energetic beings, truly desire comfort. The number one thing we need when we are suffering is comfort to balance our emotions. So as you continue on your journey to self-love and personal growth, keep pushing past the uncomfortable, learning to grow through the discomfort, because something amazing is waiting for you on the other side of your fears. Let's get back to hope. Hope is such a beautiful thing for the process it allows us to experience. Through suffering, we endure. While we're enduring, we are building character. And through our new built character, we are capable of creating new beginnings with a new way of thinking and living. I'm not sure if you can relate to this, but in my personal journey, a major challenge and roadblock for me has always been stuck on thinking and believing that I have to be perfect, that my imperfections made me not good enough, a failure. After applying the concepts in this guidebook and implementing new principles, strategies, and methods, I gained the courage to stop focusing on being perfect and instead focusing on learning how to manage my imperfections for a new perspective, that my failures are here to teach me something. The most powerful aspect of hope is believing that new beginnings are possible, and that a new lifestyle can be formed, new habits can be developed, and a brighter future can be lived. This is a mindset and perspective shift that we are all deserving of. Nothing new will come unless you truly believe that a new way of living and thinking is possible for you. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, self-efficacy is defined as a person's belief that they can be successful when carrying out a particular task. While you are growing, learning new skills, and stepping outside of your comfort zone, belief in your own potentiality, self-efficacy, is what makes all of this possible for you. Believe in yourself. If you struggle to believe in yourself, I want to remind you that you were created for greatness. What helps me believe is knowing and understanding that humans were created in the image of a higher power, the creator, source, God. God is love, and God's love is unfailing. Because we were made in God's image, this means that we are also love. However, activating this love, this power, is a choice, just how believing is a choice. Choosing love over hate and always choose love over hate and always come from a place of love in your heart. Be the warrior in you is all about empowering you to find and sustain self-love and personal growth through the alignment of your mindset, your fitness, and nutrition. The MPE self-love triangle, which is introduced in chapter 1, is the system that requires all three and is designed to help you regain a healthy relationship with yourself. This guidebook is here to help you move with purpose, to move your insight, to move your body, to move your life through an experience like none other that makes you feel good on purpose. And I'm going to end it there.
Wow. Thank you for that profound piece. I think you just walked us through a huge reflecting exercise. And while you're speaking out, just the 2 words or 2 sentences you said that just would stick in my head. And it's suffering is part of life and a healing cycle. And the other part was don't take the good for granted. And I'm thinking right now, is there any part of my life I'm taking the good for granted? Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So now let me share my screen so I can introduce the next speaker. So interesting fact about our next speaker, Mamoud. Mamoud likes thinking about, people call it crazy, but I call it creative things. And a perfect example is something like, did you know that the human brain generates about 20 watts of electrical power when awake? This is enough energy to power a dim LED light bulb. It is an astonishing example of the brain's incredible efficiency, despite being a relatively small power output in the world of electricity. I never thought of that. I never knew that. Well, Mamoud, welcome. Let's give a round of our veteran hands up for Mamoud as he takes the stage.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. So I'm going to read from my book, Journey in the Tunnel in Search of Light Through Transformation. It's a book that sheds light on the endless challenges Santigi and Kuta faced as orphans during their adolescenthood, like any other adolescent or youth in an African setting. So I'm going to read from chapter 1, page 5. It was cloudy, cool, and dark with a rumble of distant thunder. When the cocks crow on Sunday morning, Santigi happily stood up from his bamboo bed as today was supposed to be his birthday, but rather turned him into an orphan. 11-year-old boy migrated to his Uncle Mese in Modia village to seek asylum and heal his wound. Santigi met his cousin Kuta in Modia. They both become bonded like twins. Before the arrival of Santigi, Kuta was considered the village slave girl who was assigned with all the domestic work in her Uncle Mese's house by his 2 wives and 7 children. Despite the endless discrimination offered to Kuta and Santigi, the adolescent still chose to be happy. Later on, Santigi and Kuta started attending in Simpuna Primary School. Years later, irrespective of the tight bond, Santigi had to travel to the city, Freetown, to further his education. This separation left Kuta vulnerable to the influence of society's negative social norms. A lot of factors cut communication between Santigi and Kuta for years. She wrote many letters to her brother explaining how she was missing him and the challenges she was going through, but to no success. In the dry season, Santigi traveled to Senkuna village. He was excited to meet Kuta. Chapter 8, page 89. Upon his arrival to Senkunia, it was disheartening when Santigi was told that the Council of Elders had banished his only sister. Without wasting time, he dashed out in anger to go in search of Kuta. The following day, he met her in a village 15 miles away from Senkuna town. Santigi met Kuta lying in an abject pain on a banana leaf covered with a wrapper. She raised her head and saw Santigi. She smiled for the first time after taking the herbs. At this point, tears were streaming down Santigi's eyes, feeling so terrible. He was unable to control his tears with no more hope. Kuta told him, "Do not cry, Santigi. You are indeed a great man. Each drop of tears is worth and expensive than anything you can imagine about in this world. But nobody knows its value until they have it in their own eyes for losing someone precious to them." Santigi held tight his sister while crying. He tied on her neck the necklace he bought for her. He said, "How I wish I had never gone to the city." Kuta shook her head with a beautiful smile that almost resembles her physical beauty. She kissed the necklace and her mood was changed to sadness. She said, "He raped me, the son of Pamusa. They favored him and banished an innocent orphan girl who has committed no crime. His rape resulted to my pregnancy and I was banished because of this. Grandmother gave me some herbs to abort the pregnancy and now it is killing me slowly. What a deceitful world. Please do not avenge me and tell the council of elders and the rapists that I have forgiven them all. Do not relent to fight for marginalized women, children, and young people in our communities until their voices are heard. They need people to support them gain their freedom. I want to come and look over you in spirit and see that you are smiling because you have succeeded in giving their right. How I wish we fought this together." Precisely, Kuta gave up the ghost. Another sad and challenging period for Santigi. Chapter 8, page 96. When Santigi returned to Senkuna, he found a letter in late Kuta's room. The letter reads, "My dearest youth, I write to you today with a heavy but hopeful heart, a heart that believes in the power of unity and the potential within each and every one of you as youth to shape a better world. In a time where division and conflict seem to dominate the things that held us together, I plead you to embrace the ideals of peace and unity, for it is through these principles that we can build a future of harmony, understanding, tolerance, and progress. Practice forgiveness, patriotism, patience, and understanding, even in the face of hardship. Seek common ground, celebrate diversity, and reject the attraction of hatred and division. My dearest youth, in your hands, you hold the power to shape Mama Sierra Leone. In your hands, you hold the power to shape Mama Africa. And in your able hand, you possess the power to shape the world. Let your actions be driven by love, compassion, and a commitment to justice. Be the change you wish to see, and together let us stand for peace and unity in the world, Africa, and in Sierra Leone that spans generations. With endless hope and firm faith in your potential, to all the amazing youth in the world, in solidarity, Kutagani Kamara. I'll stop here because of time. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mamoud. That is really, really inspiring. Forgiveness, such a powerful tool, such a powerful tool. We really don't know how far our own art of forgiveness can, spread and just heal others. Thank you for reminding us about that powerful tool that we have. So as we're leaving here today, later on, just know that you have it within you to heal the world. And that comes from just forgiveness. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for challenging us. Yeah, I know it's not easy. I still have to put it there. It's not easy, but we have what it takes. All right. All right. Moving forward, our next speaker is Lisa. Some fun fact about Lisa is that she's fascinated by learning new languages. She can speak English, French, and she's learning Spanish and Italian. Wow. Yesterday I just downloaded Duolingo after my nephew has been pushing me for years to download it. So I'm trying to learn Spanish too. And Tagalog. So let's see. I'll let you know my progress later on. All right, let's give a virtual round of applause for Lisa.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today. You might hear little whinings from my dog because she wants to play. So bear with me. I'm excited to read a chapter from my book, Arise, Shine, and Live on Resilience, Faith, and Bipolar Disorder. The chapter is called All Shall Be Well. Sunshine floods the coffee shop through the floor-to-ceiling windows as I lick chocolate chip cookie crumbs from my fingers. I often overbook myself, not leaving time to just be and create. This weekend, I walked in the sunshine through Vancouver neighborhoods and found a quiet place to pen a few poems. Creative time alone is essential for me as a writer. I need solitude to think and let words pour onto the computer screen or journal at hand. I read the messages on Matchstick Coffee Roaster's cookie wrapper. We don't have all the answers, but we do have pastry. Life can be complicated. Take a moment to yourself and enjoy what is, or maybe what was, in this bag. We hope it brings you the nourishment and pause you need. In times of sadness and fatigue, I often have no words. The first weeks and months of the pandemic were challenging, and the news more distressing as each week passed. Sometimes, healing looks like taking a nap. I lie down and tuck the covers under my chin. I adjust my eye mask and close my eyes. It feels so good as sleep comes over me, rosary beads in hand. I don't have to be afraid. Mama Mary, I like to call her, offers protection and prayers answered. And wherever Mary is, Jesus promises that he is here with me too. I trust him. He is a faithful God. Warm waves of comfort expand across my whole body. I whisper, "Come, Lord Jesus." The house is quiet as I wake. I say to myself, just be. Do not worry about the things you need to do tomorrow. My work is never finished. If I don't take time to restore, I will always feel exhausted. Even better than perfect words spoken at the right time has been the presence of my friends and family during times of trial. My cousin Sarah rides her bike to meet me, bringing her French bulldog in her backpack. His ears flap and his tongue wags. Oakley has been my favorite furry companion since the day he rested his head on my knee when I told Sarah I wanted cuddles. A wagging tail greets everyone Oakley meets. He is not afraid to show his brokenness, his scoliosis, and one eye. I have seen him run with a limp in a race and cheered him on even though he ran in the wrong direction. I think that is what makes him dear to me. When I am experiencing the symptoms of bipolar disorder, I remind myself that it is not my fault. The illness comes and goes in periods of stress. Sitting on a picnic blanket with my cousin in Oakley or in my living room, I know that I am loved. Our greatest contribution to the world is the attention, encouragement, and love that we give each other. We can give these things every day, and these gifts don't cost money. I recently bought my cousin Sarah the children's book, Can I Sit With You? By Sarah Jacoby. It is a story about a little dog who wants to be with his owner, a growing girl, and all the happy and sad moments of her life. Companionship is a gift to be both received and given. I don't walk alone in this life. No one does. It is in difficult times that community matters. The presence of another makes a difference. It can save a life. Who will you sit with today? I hope you enjoyed that little excerpt from my book. And it's just so great to be here on this sunny day to share a little bit about my writing. Thank you.
Awesome. You know, while you were talking, I just felt like you should go on and on for real, like nonstop. I just, you caught me when you said you would stop here today. I'm like, no, continue. It's just amazing. Thank you for just showing us the power of how healing takes place. I like when you said healing looks like taking a nap. And I thought about it that taking a nap is healing in itself. Like that's a free medicine for us all. Wow. Okay, so now you know, guys, you don't have to go take some, just take a nap. All right. So now we would be moving to our last speaker for today. I know we all want this to continue, but yes, all good things they say come to, not an end. All good things gotta just, take a while and, we gotta, but we're saving the best for the last. And last speaker for today, she might look like a dainty girl, but she climbs, she kickbox, and she dances ballet. Wow. And that's Galina. One interesting fact about Janila is that she loves to hide and scare her husband when he comes home. When I saw this, I was just laughing because that is really funny, honestly. All right. Let's give a round of applause with our virtual hands and welcome Galina to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to be reading chapter 9 from my book, Armadillo Girl. And you will understand why I named it Armadillo Girl once I start reading. So I'm going to read various sections of chapter 9. I'm not going to read the whole thing, obviously, because it's 5 minutes. So I'll start. Our situation had helped me grow up in many ways. I decided to take all the negativity and turn it into positivity. A person can love, but does not have to die from it or dwell on the what if. Shit happens all the time. I learned to keep my feelings at bay towards Matic and see beyond my anguish. I had to see the situation rationally, otherwise everything will fall apart. This roller coaster of a relationship defined me clearly what I did not want in a partner, very clearly. While living together, we behaved like roommates, except we continued to sleep in the same bed. I suppose one of us could have slept in the futon in the living room, but neither one of us ever brought up the idea. We'd always slept together. The only difference was that now we separated each other's space. That might sound impossible and strange, but after a while, it became normal. We'd figured out how to be together, yet separate. I stopped going out like I used to. Getting pregnant had changed that for me. I became a bit withdrawn. My routine consisted of going to work, coming back, and going to the apartment in the evenings, and only going out for dinner with friends every so often. I mostly had the apartment to myself because Matic was rarely home in the evenings. He continued to go out, as he always did, and he was spending more time with various new female friends. After all, he was single now. During my first 4 months of pregnancy, before Maddie came home, I crawled into bed after work like an armadillo, sheltering myself from life, crying in agony and despair because of my situation. During this time, I meditated and spoke with God. Praying was an important part in my life and always had been, because it helped me alleviate the stress of decisions by leaving it in His hands. The hands of my Creator. At times, I could barely catch my breath as I felt a deep void in the pit of my stomach. Crying helped me to see things clearer. Crying brought me to a space I knew I never wanted to be in again. After the storm comes sun and rainbows, and that's how I felt every time I cried. Eventually, I just stood still, allowing myself to hear a common voice, which regenerated my soul and spirit. The voice was soft and considerate. It was my conscience. The only thing that was important now was not to fix a relationship, but to build a new bond between us and our child, not as a married couple, but as functional parents. Let me continue to, if I had taken people's advice and be vindictive toward Matic, I don't think our baby would have had the chance to have a father. It takes a lot more chutzpah to take the route I opted for, and then to try and destroy Matic. Obviously, what we were doing showed we cared for our unborn, and our differences were set aside. As friends said, I should destroy Matic as a sign of strength. I didn't agree with this type of mentality. I slowly stopped communicating with them. During my early upbringing, my grandmother and I learned to always help others and not to destroy or hurt other persons. Leave things up to God. He is the best judge of all. My mother had been raised the same way, and she was a great example of this. I'll end it there.
Wow. I just put in the chat the meaning of armadillo. I had to search myself because yeah, I didn't know the animal, the little armored animal, that's what's called. Wow. And it makes so much sense as to the emotions you described and how you were then able to feel that warmth and have those armor taken down. Powerful,
Yeah.
really powerful. All right.
Mm.
We are going to pivot to the next section of the event. But before then, I really want to say how blessed I am. And I've had such a great time just hearing all the stories. I know you all have lots of questions. You want to meet with the speakers. And that's why we've created the next section, which is going to be a breakout session for you to have some couple of times, just 10 minutes with the speakers, and there you can ask your questions, converse with them, and yeah, get to know them. All right, I would be passing the mic or the whole tech to Jayo. Jayo, are you ready to share us into our breakout rooms?
Yes, just bear with me 1 second and I'll send everyone to the breakout rooms. Thank you.
Okay, so the thing Jayo he's going to be doing is he's going to be distributing each and every one into the various breakout rooms. And since it's virtual, we made sure that there are sofas, there are going to be, champagnes in the breakout rooms. So in the meantime, while he's doing that, you might want to go grab your, favorite drink and all that. And we'll just give him some time, okay? While over here, I'm just gonna play some jazz, some soft jazz, while that happens in the background. All right, thank you so much.
I'll be sending everyone now. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, thank you. All right, so on your screen, you'll see a pop-up so you can join.
Can I get put back in room number 9?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, Tim. Yeah, I'll do that.
I was worried I left too soon, so I came back, but I have to go there.
That's important.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
Hello, can someone hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Is there any way you can place me in the breakout room of Michaella Conteh?
Yes, sure. Give me a second.
Okay, thank you.
If one of you guys got sent back to the main room, I apologize for that. Zoom does that sometimes when there's a lot of people. So if you can, I'm still assigning you to other rooms. You can just click join when it appears in your screen. If you have any questions or issues, please let me know. Hi, April, Izatu, Sarah, and Lauren. Can you guys hear me? Hello, Andrea. Did you got sent back? Hi, Tim. Did you got sent back? You're muted. I can hear you. Yeah, I cannot hear you. You're muted.
Are you bringing everybody back? I'm just supposed to bring my wife somewhere in a moment.
Okay. I'll bring everyone back in a minute.
Okay, but you are bringing everyone back to conclude the event?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, nice. Maybe I'll try to stick around.
Hi.
Hi, hello. Yep, welcome
Yeah,
back.
thank you. I
How's
am
your
here.
session?
It was very good. It was very good. Yeah, Rodrigo was he wants to start writing a book. So he had a lot of good questions, and I think I was able to help him with some.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why we have I think Team. I don't know if Team is still in the building, but we have Team, we have Rasie. So yeah, they'll be able to provide the next steps and all that.
Okay,
Welcome
there was
back,
somebody else
everyone.
online that wanted to come in, but I didn't know how to let them in. I think somebody else had to let them in.
I did.
Okay.
I didn't get to speak to them. I didn't get to speak to them.
I think
All
we're all
right.
back. Yeah.
So Rasie, I'm gonna pass the mic to you, but before then, I just want to say, Galina made mention that someone said they're interested in publishing their books and all that. So, maybe you can talk about that process, or just next steps after this event. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me know in the chat. And I know we went over time. And thank you for, staying here with us and just so many doses of inspiration that we've been blessed with. And I don't even think there's words that I can use to describe this experience right now. And I feel a lot of gratitude, I feel very blessed to be in this space with everyone. And I definitely want to say thank you to Paul for facilitating this event. Like I know even when we're in the preparation stage, a lot of things that you brought up and, coordinated, I was like, I couldn't have done this without him. And I'm so grateful. So thank you. And also Jay, thank you for supporting us with the tech in the chat, dropping the link, sharing the screen. It's a lot because it's a lot of mental energy like happening. So I want you to know that I do appreciate you in supporting us with that. And also our authors, our artists, and our keynote speaker. Thank you for sharing doses of inspiration with us from your knowledge, the work that you're doing in our community. And I think the big thing that speaks to me is the intention, right? Every single one of you came here today to share value, to help our audience take that next step in their goals. Either it's writing a book or other areas of their lives, like different goals that they're working on. And it's going to go a very long way, right? Like we're all connected to another network, to a community that we're going to pass on this information. And that brings me a ton of joy. So thank you for being here with us today. And our audience, like, thank you for staying engaged in the chat. And, we couldn't do this without you, right? And thank you for being here. And, and also sharing like I want to say, Shelley shared a beautiful word like in the breakout room. It's a testimonial, right? Like all those comments you're making while our authors and our speakers were speaking, you were uplifting them. Like, I am hearing your message, I'm feeling it, and I'm rolling with it. And I thank you for it. That's what I heard as those comments were coming up. So thank you. And also, I do want to acknowledge our network, people who were not here today are supportive, our support system, either it's on socials or in person. They shared information about this event. They might have not been here today, but they shared on their network in some shape or form. And I do want to acknowledge that. And it's so beautiful when all of us can come together and move further as a team, as a unit. So a couple things. So we'll be sharing with you the slides and the links. I do invite you to connect with our speakers, with our author, our artists, and ask them more questions about the process, right? They're here to help you out. And I also invite you to check out the other work that they're doing in the community. So especially a lot of our authors here today, it's not just writing a book, they also have their businesses or their career, like things that are doing in the community. So I do invite you to check out their page when you see the links and connect with them. Follow all their work that they're doing in our community. And there will also be a survey that will pop up on your browser after you leave the Zoom meeting today. And I want to know how we did, right? Like, if we don't know how we're doing, we cannot take that next step to do better for our event next year, which is definitely coming. And also, if you would like to plant the seed and discover what you can do now in preparation for your future book, and maybe you want to write it in 2024, maybe it's 2025, 2026. If you want to plant that seed, get in touch with me. You can get in touch with Tim at Tellwell. You can connect with our authors here. I know that a lot of different people in my network are always reaching out, asking different questions. It's all about helping you move that needle to get closer to your goal and closing that gap. So this is the end of our time here today. Thank you everyone for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
I'm wishing you the best in your next moments. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you, Rasie, for this opportunity.
Thank you all so much. Great program. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. This is fantastic, Rasie and team.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rasie.
Thank you.
Is there an after party?
Yes. Don't you know?
Oh,
Are we gonna do a screenshot of like the of us?
Yeah, I
We
guess
should do
we're
that.
the ones that.
Okay,
Sure.
I'll get myself ready.
Let's do it. Okay.
Joy, by the way, my cousin liked your earrings.
Oh,